to today's video, and in today's video, I will be doing, or not, I guess, making my, not my predictions, but showing each party's, best case scenario for the 2022 midterms in the Senate. Now, best case scenario is a bit of a weird term to put it in. It's probably better put as the best majority that each party could possibly get, but that's too long and confusing, so I'm just saying best case scenario. So let's start off with the Democrats. As you can see right now, I have the current Senate. Every single seat that you see will be up except for this seat. This map was made before the Georgia runoff, so we could do Senate predictions without, with Georgia just hypothetically for 2022. But we already know the seat is blue. So, yeah, let's get started. First off, obviously, Democrats would need to retain every seat that they have. Georgia, I think, is probably pretty likely. Like, the states that I think are hardest for them to retain, maybe Arizona. The Arizona GOP is awful GOP, so I don't necessarily know that they'd be able to win in Arizona. It was more or less, or it was very competitive on the presidential level. It was less competitive on the Senate level. So that's Arizona. Next state that I think would be pretty competitive, at least to keep their seat in, is Georgia. There's not really good Republicans that could run that I think would actually be able to beat Raphael Warnock. He won by about 2%. I think that if Doug Collins were to run, he would still win. I think it'll be lower, like 0.9 to like 1.4%. I still think he would probably win though. And then the last day is New Hampshire. It's going to be really competitive, I think, in 2022. Chris Sununu, their popular Republican governor, is expected to run. And if he does, there's a really good chance that he ends up winning. But for this, we're just going to assume that they manage to keep all their seats that they currently have. Now, for the winnable/target states, first off, look at North Carolina and Pennsylvania. Both states have retiring Republican incumbents. In Pennsylvania, Pat Toomey. In North Carolina, Richard Burr. Now, I think that Pennsylvania is a pretty open seat. I think that Democrats will probably win here by small margins. They have a Republican or Democratic governor that's pretty popular, who's term limited, and he's probably going to run in Pennsylvania. And then the state of North Carolina, they also have a popular Democratic governor, Roy Cooper, who he's not term limited, at least to the furthest extent of my knowledge. But there's speculation that he'll run in the Senate. I think if he were to run, he would probably win. Now, the next state I want to look at is the state of Wisconsin. This is a state that Joe Biden won by 0.6%. And Ron Johnson, the Republican senator, I don't know if he ended up doing it, but he did say that he was going to vote to object to some of the presidential results. And I think that's a bad sign, especially if you're in a state that, regardless of how small the victory was, it was a Joe Biden victory. And if you're a Republican in a state that Joe Biden won, trying to object the election results, when you're already, I don't want to say unpopular, but not like incredibly popular, that's not going to help you. You're going to lose, or not necessarily going to lose, but you're not going to be doing very well. So I'm going to say Wisconsin. That's one of those states that they could win. Now there's a few states. This next one might surprise you. It's Alaska. Sorry if you saw. Actually, I don't think you guys saw that. My stuff down here. Oh, my apps. It's just like the calendar and whatnot. Calendar and notes and whatever. Anyways, actually, I think last time I watched one of my videos, you guys couldn't see this. Tell me in the comments, guys, if you can see, like, contacts, mail, calendar, notes, reminders, pages. Tell me if you guys can see that. Anyways, it's Alaska. Now, there's one reason. It's Lisa Murkowski. She is a Republican. She's a pretty moderate, like, fairly liberal Republican, she's the incumbent Republican who wins most of her races. She actually got primaried in, like, I think it was 2012. But then she ran as a write-in and ended up winning. But, she's very anti-Trump, and she's talked about, that if the GOP was going to become the party of Trump, which it's looking like it's going to be, it wasn't going to be the party for her. A lot of people think that she's going to leave and become an independent. And at this point, if you're going to become an independent, there's no point in being an independent but not caucusing. Like, if you're gonna leave the GOP but then caucus with them, there's really no point in leaving the GOP. So a lot of people think that she will end up leaving and caucusing with the Democrats. I think that's very likely. which is why I'm going to put Alaska in the blue column. Now a few more states. These are getting a bit more out there. Missouri. If Jason Kander were to run, I don't think he will. I doubt that he will run. He might try to check on Josh Hawley in 2024 because that's, I believe, when his seat is up. I think that he could do decent against Josh Hawley. But I think he's probably going to run against Josh Hawley instead of Roy Blunt in 2024. If he even were to run, he might not even run. He might run for the governorship or something. But if he were to run, I think that this state is definitely in contention. In contention. I don't think that he will win, even if he were to run. I think he would probably lose by upwards of 3%. Definitely make it more competitive than the presidential level. However, if he doesn't run, it's going to be at least 13, probably higher percent Republican victory. Now, there's other states, Kansas, Iowa, Ohio. These are all potential. Chuck Grassley and Rob Portman probably aren't going to lose. And I don't even know who the incumbent Republican in Kansas is. Should Laura Kelly, their Democratic governor, run, I think that she would still lose. Not by huge margins, but she would probably still lose. There's one state I want to look at that could, or actually a few states I want to talk about. But this is the only one that could really be in contention. Is Florida. Now, if Marco Rubio were to retire, or to get primaried, I think that if he were to vote to indict Trump, there is a very good chance that he does get primaried. Maybe even by Ivanka Trump, in which case it would be a lot more competitive. And then the Democrats were to run a good candidate. There aren't really good candidates in Florida for Democrats at this point. Val Demings could run. Val Demings is the only Democrat I could think that could win in Florida. I'm trying to think right now. I'm drawing a blank. I can't think of any other than Val Demings. So I think that should they run Val Demings, should probably lose by lean margins. Maybe tilt margins. That's if. Should they run Val Demings against Marco Rubio, it would probably be high leans. But if they were to run Val Demings against Ivanka Trump, it would probably be like tilt red. Maybe even tilt blue. So I don't really think that Florida is winnable. And then the last thing I was just going to talk about, I'm not sure if it's North or South Dakota. I know the difference between North and South Dakota, obviously. But one of these two, I always get their Congress people, I guess, mixed up. I always think that people that are from South Dakota, or I always think that people that are from North Dakota are actually from South Dakota. I think she's from North Dakota. I might be wrong on this. Heidi Heitkamp, please correct me if I'm wrong if she's from North or South Dakota. But one of those two states, she, if she were to run, she would probably still lose. But it could be, maybe in contention. It could be very competitive. I don't think it will be. It's probably going to be like 20-25%, so I don't think it's going to be a very competitive state. But it could be, if they were to run Heidi Heitkamp. I don't think that she'll run, as I said. But it could be, so yeah, this is the Democratic map. Now into the Republican map. As you can see, it's the same map as earlier. So first off, they would need to win the majority. I think that those first votes that first state comes from Georgia. As you can see, in Georgia, or not as you can see, but as you can see, Georgia would be winnable / target. But Raphael Warnock won by about 2%. He beat Republican incumbent Kelly Loeffler. The only Democrat or the only Republican that I think could beat him is Doug Collins. I've already discussed why I don't think that he will. Should he be ran against him, but it's still a potential or it's still a potential upset, I guess. I don't think that Doug Collins, if Doug Collins were to run, I don't think that he would win. But or at least given recent turnout numbers. But I still think there's a decent chance. So I'm gonna give those first votes coming from Georgia. Now the next state that I think that they could get votes from is actually New Hampshire. Now, as I was talking about earlier, their popular Republican governor Chris Sununu seems to be eyeing up a bid for the Senate. Maggie Hassan won by, I believe it was over 1,000, like a couple of over 1,000 votes. She very nearly won. He could legitimately win if he were to run in New Hampshire. It would be a very competitive state. I still think that Maggie Hassan would very narrowly win. But Chris Sununu winning is definitely not unrealistic. It could it could definitely happen. Now, the next state, well, actually, there's a few random states that you would never think about when I get working. Arizona. The Arizona GOP is awful. No Republican in the Arizona GOP that I can think of would win. Because their GOP, like I said, I couldn't think of anybody that could win. Cindy McCain, maybe if she were to want to run. First off, I doubt that she would want to run. Second off, I don't know if she would probably still win. I would think. I doubt that she would run though. But Martha McSally lost the Arizona GOP 2 seats in the Senate. She lost in 2018, and she lost again in 2020. She hasn't been able to win a single Senate seat in the state of Arizona, which is obviously not a good thing. That for whatever reason, she is the candidate that the Arizona GOP likes to run. I think if they were to run Doug Ducey, if they were to somehow get him past the primary level, I don't think that he would get past the primaries. He would probably get primaried by a Trumpist. Maybe Martha McSally. Honestly, if Martha McSally were to run again, it would be kind of crazy, but it would not surprise, or it would maybe surprise me. But just these GOPs or whatever love to run Republican candidates that are going to lose, or Trumpist candidates that are going to lose. I think if they were to run Martha McSally, she would lose by like 4%. But Mark Kelly probably won't lose the seat, but it's definitely a possibility that he does. I think it would have to be a Republican wave year, which it might be, for him to be able to lose his seat. And the Republican Party in Arizona would have to run better candidates. Doug Ducey would really struggle, though, winning over the Trumpist vote, as he did certify Arizona's election results, which has more or less forever ruined his political future. Or at least as a Republican, and I don't see him becoming a Democrat. Now, at this point, it's getting kind of hard for me to find states. A few states that I was a state that I said earlier, I didn't say earlier, but I was thinking about earlier, Maryland. This state voted with Joe Biden about 33%. However, Larry Hogan is their popular governor. He won't be term limited. I don't think that he's gonna run for Senate. It's like little to no possibility, which is why I'm gonna keep it as a blue state, because it's just not gonna happen. But it's still a possibility. So I just wanted to talk about that for a second. Now, the next state is Nevada. Catherine Cortez Masto is the incumbent the incumbent Democrat. She won by what Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton both won by in the state of Nevada. I think that she'll still win, probably by those margins, but she could still lose. That's still a possibility in a Republican wave year. There's still people who could maybe beat her. I don't think that they will. But we're talking about the best case scenario here, and I think that that is definitely the best case scenario. Now, for both of these groups, there are other far out things that could happen where we could see people doing well. Like for Democrats, we could see South Dakota flipping, Iowa, or Ohio, Indiana, Florida. We could see this. Missouri. That's a maybe Kansas even. That's a potential possibility. I don't think it'll happen. On the Republicans, we could see like Colorado flipping. We could see Illinois flipping back. I don't think Illinois will flip back, but like I said, it used to be a Republican seat. We could see Maryland, if Larry Hogan were to for whatever reason decide to run. Vermont, if Phil Scott were for whatever reason decide to run. Oregon, if I can't even think of anybody, but it's like actually not even Oregon. So there are these races where we could see crazy outcomes. So I think that at this point, for the best case scenario victories for each party, this is it for the Republicans, and then for the Democrats, it is this. This. So they're each party will probably, the best case scenario for each party is 54 seats in the Senate, and I'll see it. I think at this point the these states that are going to be competitive are Nevada, Arizona are these flips. For the Democrats, it would be or not flipping, but a lot of these competitive states: Nevada, Arizona, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Alaska. Same, and then with the Republican or the states that they would be flipping. Here, I'll just go highlight the states that they wouldn't be flipping in blue. So those would be the Democratic flips, and then these would be the Republican flips. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for my next video, whenever and whenever that may be, and I will see you guys there. Bye!